he addressed the governing body with these words, "It is written, but you, do not you be called rabbi, for one is your teacher, and all of you are brothers. Moreover, do not call anyone your father on earth, for one is your Father, the heavenly one. Neither be called leaders, for your leader is one, the Christ. However, you have made yourselves the only teachers your followers are allowed to listen to. You have given orders so that no one can study the Bible without the help of your magazines, books, and publications. The content of every congregation meeting is carefully controlled by you. You regard yourselves as the only channel through which spiritual food can be provided to God's people. Not only have you made yourselves the only authorized teachers of your followers, in practice, you have become their leaders. You have replaced my teaching and my leadership, setting yourselves up as something that belongs to me alone. It is written, but Jesus called them to him and said, you know that the rulers of the nations lord it over them, and the great men wield authority over them. This must not be the way among you. But whoever wants to become great among you must be your minister, and whoever wants to be first among you must be your slave. Just as the Son of Man came, not to be ministered to, but to minister and to give his life as a ransom in exchange for many. And yet, you call yourselves rulers, in fact, a governing body. And you act accordingly. You create rules and remove them at will. You even interfere in the educational decisions of young people. You claim that the best path is full-time service. The best path for whom? For you. You think only of your own interests, instead of considering the needs of your followers. Did my Father give the same talents to everyone? Why should a single path be the best for every member of the congregation? Hundreds of young people who grew up within your organization now regret, in adulthood, having abandoned their education. But that does not concern you. You spoke in my Father's name, claiming that he did not approve of vaccines and organ transplants. And later you changed your position and said the opposite. Does my Father change his mind? Did you humbly ask forgiveness from the families of those who died for following your word? And as if that were not enough, you continue to speak in my Father's name, claiming that he commands abstaining from blood transfusions, when he only commanded abstaining from eating the blood of animals. And still, you go into endless detail on this matter: blood fractions, hemodialysis, autologous transfusions. Do you not see in yourselves the legalistic seed of the Pharisees? I commanded you not to become rulers over your brothers, and yet their lives and their deaths are in your hands. But just a few days ago, you took your hypocrisy to its highest extreme. You allowed your followers to receive transfusions using their own blood, yet you maintain the prohibition against receiving blood from others. Why do you impose arbitrary rules in my Father's name? Why do you change them at your whim? Why do you play with people's lives? Hypocrites, brood of vipers. In imitation of the rulers of this world, you have become tyrants among your brothers. You order the removal of anyone who questions your arbitrary rules, and you impose the harshest punishment, social and family ostracism. In doing so, you have not only become rulers, but dictators over your brothers. Do you not think that my Father keeps account of your wrongdoing? Be judged by your own words. By calling yourselves rulers over your brothers, you testify that you are disobeying me. It is written, come to me, all you who are toiling and loaded down, and I will refresh you. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am mild-tempered and lowly in heart, and you will find refreshment for yourselves. For my yoke is kindly, and my load is light. If those under your authority followed my words, they would find true relief. But you have made them deaf, blind, and lacking understanding. The burden of earning a living and raising a family is already heavy enough. Yet instead of lightening that burden for your followers, you do the opposite. You behave like the scribes and Pharisees of whom I said. They bind up heavy loads and put them on the shoulders of men, but they themselves are not willing to budge them with their finger. Pay attention, even if only for a moment, to your followers. You have burdened them with demands that are impossible to fulfill. Look at the exhaustion on their faces. Shall I remind you of some of the burdens you have placed on them? Studying your endless publications, keeping up with your videos, preparing every single meeting, attending those meetings, sitting through multi-day conventions from morning to the afternoon, preaching, conducting Bible studies with new converts. It is no wonder that chronic fatigue syndrome spreads among your followers like wildfire. and that 2 out of every 3 children born into your organization leave it upon reaching adulthood. My burden is light, but yours is heavy. I give them relief, while you fill them with weariness. It is written, people now began bringing him young children for him to touch them, but the disciples reprimanded them. At seeing this, Jesus was indignant and said to them, let the young children come to me. Do not try to stop them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such ones. Truly I say to you, whoever does not receive the kingdom of God like a young child will by no means enter into it. And he took the children into his arms and began blessing them, laying his hands on them. Despite all this, hundreds of children have been mistreated in your meetings, taken to a secondary room to be disciplined for falling asleep during your endless, adult-centered discourse. Let me repeat the number that should fill you with shame. 2 out of every 3 children born into your organization leave it in adulthood. Does that not make you reflect? But worse still, literally thousands of children have suffered abuse within your congregations, while you are more concerned with protecting the reputation of your organization than helping the victims. You claim not to follow the law of Moses, yet you cling to the rule of 2 witnesses when it comes to children. Do abusers act in front of others? For decades, you gave instructions not to report these cases to the authorities. Is that what it means to protect children? Hypocrites, brood of vipers. You prioritize your organization over children. You wanted to hide these abuses to preserve your organization's supposed reputation. But today, the matter is known by judges, lawyers, and informed individuals all around the world. That is why the scripture is fulfilled in you. For there is nothing hidden that will not become manifest, nor anything carefully concealed that will never become known and not come out in the open. It is written, now he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath. And look, a woman was there who had had a spirit of weakness for 18 years, and she was bent double and was unable to straighten up at all. When he saw her, Jesus addressed her and said, woman, you are released from your weakness. And he laid his hands on her, and instantly she straightened up and began to glorify God. But in response, the presiding officer of the synagogue, indignant because Jesus did the cure on the Sabbath, said to the crowd, there are 6 days on which work ought to be done. So come and be cured on those days, and not on the Sabbath day. However, the Lord answered him, hypocrites, does not each one of you on the Sabbath untie his bull or his donkey from the stall and lead it away to give it something to drink? Should not this woman, who is a daughter of Abraham and whom Satan held bound for 18 years, be released from this bondage on the Sabbath day? You know perfectly well that when I healed that woman on the Sabbath, the law of Moses was still in effect, that the covenant of the law remained in force until my death. I kept every Sabbath while I was on earth, but not in the way the scribes and Pharisees did, who placed the Sabbath above the well-being of human beings. But you, just like the scribes and Pharisees, place legalistic observance of rules above people's well-being. You have taken the command to abstain from the blood of animals to such an extreme that thousands of human beings, including innocent children, have died for obeying you. Hypocrites, brood of vipers, the blood of those people is upon your heads. It is written, stop storing up for yourselves treasures on the earth, where moth and rust consume, and where thieves break in and steal. Rather, store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust consumes, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. But despite my words, you are driven by the love of money. You changed your doctrine so that those under your authority could greet those who have been removed, not out of love, but to prevent the government of Norway from continuing to withdraw your subsidies. You gave instructions to the elders so that those who have suffered abuse could, at last, report it to the authorities, as it should have always been, but you did it to avoid losing millions of dollars in lawsuits, not out of love for children. You make your young people sacrifice years of their lives to build buildings where you and your appointed workers can live comfortably. You cling to your positions of authority because you do not know how to live any other way. Hypocrites, it is written, concerning that day and hour nobody knows, neither the angels of the heavens nor the Son, but only the Father. And yet, you have never ceased searching the Scriptures, looking for some verse that would allow you to speculate about the day and the hour appointed by my Father. You claim that the end would come in 1914, 1925, and 1975. You knew that your followers sold their homes and businesses, left their jobs, and postponed their plans, all to preach your word. Did any of your predecessors care about the lives that were ruined? And not content with that, you declared that the generation of 1914 would not pass away, only to later, when your predictions failed, introduce the concept of an overlapping generation that, according to you, would not pass away. Are my words not enough for you? No one knows the day or the hour. It is written. Again you heard that it was said to those of ancient times, you must not swear without performing, but you must pay your vows to Jehovah. However, I say to you, do not swear at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by earth, for it is the footstool of his feet, nor by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. Do not swear by your head, since you cannot turn one hair white or black. Just let your word, yes, mean yes, your no, no, for what goes beyond these is from the wicked one. And yet, you, along with your lawyers and spokespersons, swear to tell the truth in court, with your hand on the Bible, only to proceed to tell one lie after another. You have sworn, with your hand on the Bible, that the Watchtower had no knowledge of abuses that you were in fact aware of. You have also sworn that the governing body does not consider itself the only channel used by God to convey his word. That ceasing to associate with those who have been removed is a matter of personal conscience, that no one stops being one of Jehovah's Witnesses for receiving a blood transfusion, that you do not use the term worldly to refer to those who are not Jehovah's Witnesses, and that families are not torn apart as a result of removal. Liars, hypocrites! You know full well that it is written, you are from your father the devil, and you wish to do the desires of your father. That one was a murderer when he began, and he did not stand fast in the truth, because truth is not in him. When he speaks the lie, he speaks according to his own disposition, because he is a liar and the father of the lie. In this way, you bear witness against yourselves as to who your true father is. But you do not only lie in court with your hand on the Bible, you also lie about your own history. The publications and videos you have approved as your official history are filled with half-truths, omissions, and outright lies. For example, you say that some of your followers expected the end on specific dates such as 1914, 1925, and 1975, when in reality, it was your leaders who pointed to those dates. In this way, you place the blame on your own followers. Do you really think you can cease to be guilty in the eyes of my Father? You hide from your official history the letters that Joseph Franklin Rutherford sent to Adolf Hitler in order to maintain the appearance of neutrality. You are like those of whom I said, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you resemble whitewashed graves, which outwardly indeed appear beautiful, but inside are full of dead men's bones and of every sort of uncleanness. In the same way, on the outside you appear righteous to men, but inside you are full of hypocrisy and lawlessness. It is written, you must pray, then, this way, Our Father in the heavens, let your name be sanctified. And yet, you teach that your followers, what you call the great crowd, are not children of God, but merely his friends. Can anyone call God their Father without considering themselves his child? You not only contradict the Scriptures, you also contradict reason itself. It is written, he said to them, Isaiah aptly prophesied about you hypocrites, as it is written, this people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far removed from me. It is in vain that they keep worshiping me, for they teach commands of men as doctrines. Your magazines and books are filled with the commandments of men. When did I ever say that men should not wear beards? On the contrary, I wore a beard. Yet for decades, you chose to impose on your brothers the personal preference of Joseph Franklin Rutherford. During all those years, men who grew beards were reprimanded and could not serve as elders or ministerial servants. Followers of men, that is what you are. Charles Taze Russell and Joseph Franklin Rutherford distorted the Scriptures by imposing dates that my father never gave, and you distort them again, trying to force what is written to match the words of those men. It was you and your predecessors, not me, who decided that abstaining from blood applied to transfusions. It was you and your predecessors, not me, who deprived your young people of a better future by imposing full-time service to you as the best path, instead of allowing them to decide freely according to their own interests and aspirations. It was you and your predecessors, not me, who issue rules that control every detail of the lives of those under your authority. It was Joseph Franklin Rutherford, not me, who taught that there are two classes of Christians with two different hopes. I said that I had other sheep, referring to the Gentiles, the people of the nations, the non-Jews, who would, in time, come to believe in me. I never claimed what Mr. Rutherford put into my mouth. It is written, as they continued eating, Jesus took a loaf, and after saying a blessing, he broke it, and giving it to the disciples, he said, "Take, eat. This means my body." And taking a cup, he offered thanks and gave it to them, saying, "Drink out of it, all of you, for this means my blood of the covenant, which is to be poured out in behalf of many for forgiveness of sins. But in this gathering, where there is unleavened bread and red wine, only you, who call yourselves anointed, intend to eat the bread and drink the wine, while everyone else merely attends as spectators of a group that sees itself as superior and special. That is not how I commanded it to be done." Having said this, Jesus prayed, took the bread, broke it, and passed it to all those present so that they might eat, and they did. But the members of the governing body did not know how to react. Then he prayed once again, took the wine, and passed it to all those present so that they might drink, and they did, while the governing elite remained there, still not knowing what to do. If you found this content helpful, leave a like, share it with someone who might benefit from it, and subscribe if you haven't already. You can also become a channel member. This will give you access to exclusive content, where I can speak more openly about sensitive topics. Click the link in the description to join. Thanks to those who have already done so. Your support makes it possible to keep creating this content. And if you'd like to dive deeper into the topics covered in this video, you can check out the playlists I've included below. See you next time.